Musical Talk, the UK's independent musical theatre podcast. Hello and welcome to another edition of Musical Talk. I'm Thos, a man mildly less popular than Oscar Wilde the musical. Now, I am delighted to say that we have a bumper episode for you today, and although it's a long episode, it is absolutely fascinating, even if I say so myself. It's the kind of episode I wanted to do on Musical Talk now for some years, and at last I've been able to do so, because what we're going to be looking at today is the craft of the songwriter. And I use the word craft advisedly, as you'll hear as the episode unfolds. Because in today's episode, I am sitting down with Henry Carpenter, who you'll know as the man behind Quentin Dentin the musical and Summer Nights in Space, to talk about one single song. It's a song from Quentin Dentin the musical, and it's called Numbers. And over the course of this episode, you'll hear 5 different recordings of that song from various stages of its development over the last 2.5 years or so, followed by an in-depth look at how the song has changed, what needed to change in order to suit the musical as it developed, what made the song stronger, how arrangement can really improve a song, and various other bits and pieces that make a song much better than merely acceptable. In fact, excellent. Now, the song Numbers is a song I've always loved since I first saw the Quentin Dentin Show, and it's extremely appropriate that that is the song we'll be looking at, because the Quentin Dentin Show is coming back to London at the Tristan Bates Theatre in the West End between the 20th of June and the 29th of July. And this song once again will appear in that production. So there is a chance to actually learn about a song and then see it in its rightful context of a groundbreaking musical. So even if you only have a passing interest in the mechanics of what makes a musical successful, how songs are written for musicals, then this is the episode for you. There'll be more details about how you can see the Quentin Dentin Show at the end of the episode. But first, let's sit down with the amazingly talented Henry Carpenter and talk about his song Numbers from the Quentin Dentin Show to learn how this song has changed and why. I do hope you'll enjoy this episode. Musical Talk. Henry.
Hi, Thos.
Always wonderful to talk to you. I know I always start every conversation we have that way, but actually I look forward to all our chats. But
yeah, me too.
But of all the conversations we've had, the one I've been most looking forward to is today, because for me this is a privilege to be able to talk with a creative person whose work I genuinely admire, about the different iterations of development in this case, just one song from the Quentin Dentin Show. Now, the song in question is Numbers. We're going to hear several versions of it during the course of this performance, and I think to someone who was listening casually, they would say, well, it's clearly the same song, and at one level they're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But of course, there are 5 different versions we're going to hear today.
I mean, I've only given you 5.
Yes.
There's more than that.
Well, these are just milestones, aren't they?
Yeah. These are milestones that I could kind of identify.
And it takes place over, I suppose the versions we're going to hear take place over, 2.5 years, would you say?
Yeah, a bit more than 2 years, yeah.
But to set our stall out so that people know the context in which this song, from which it comes, mangling my sentence dreadfully there, but you get the idea.
I think we understand.
Yes. Do you want briefly just to remind listeners, in a thumbnail sketch kind of a way, the point or the plot of the Quentin Dentin Show? And,
sure thing.
And if you like, a little bit of its timescale from very first developments, just so we know where we're slotting each of the versions in that we discuss.
Very happy to. Well, the Quentin Dentin Show is a new rock musical. It's being billed as the Rocky Horror Show for millennials. Basically what it is it's a kind of twisted 21st century Faust story about a kind of depressed-ish couple called Nat and Keith, who one day summon from out of their radio a kind of media genie called Quentin Dentin, who comes from up on high. He was beamed down from an entertainment satellite, and he's here to make their lives perfect and to make them conform to his vision of humanity and how humanity should be and how people should be to be happy and to be good. And as the show goes on, Quentin goes from genuinely trying to help Nat and Keith to trying to advance himself to coming to hate Nat and Keith and punishing them. And we see this whole kind of spectrum of some of the values that maybe we have in our culture, in our media, refracted back through Quentin and his increasingly desperate attempts to make Nat and Keith conform. And we see that kind of getting nastier and nastier.
Splendid. Now, when in the piece does Numbers appear? Because that's the song the number, in fact, we're going to be talking about.
Sure. Numbers appears about 1/3 of the way through the show, and it comes at the beginning of the Quentin Dentin Show, i.e. the show within the show. You see, the musical is called the Quentin Dentin Show, but the musical is about Quentin Dentin coming in and putting on a show called the Quentin Dentin Show, which is kind of Jeremy Kyle, sort of Judge Judy, you're wrong and this is why, and I'm going to point out why, but I'm also going to help you, but mostly I'm going to make you look awful. He comes into their lives and he does that with them in their sitting room. And Numbers is the first song that he sings within the Quentin Dentin Show.
It's the moment he masters the domain that they're all in a way, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. And it's also kind of the moment where he sets out his stall for what's going to come. Well, first of all, it's kind of meaningless. And second of all, it's about prioritizing robotic or calculable things over human things. The whole thing with Quentin and his kind of attack on these people is that he's essentially a machine. He comes down from a kind of god satellite. Even though his whole thing is about I'm going to help you, I'm going to make you well, Quentin doesn't really care about people. He cares about things that robots care about and machine things. And that's basically where Numbers comes from. It's Quentin saying, okay, I've got you now, and even though I'm going to make you happy and make you laugh and smile with this fabulous rock song that goes, dum bum ba da dum bum ba, and it's really catchy and everyone gets up and dances, actually what the song is saying is, you don't matter at all. And even though I'm saying that I'm going to help you, really what I'm going to do is I'm going to mould you into something that's quite clinical and inhuman.
I think that's a very good description, and we're going to explore the songs over various iterations, as we said. And some of that will come through, I think, in the characterisation and the lyric usage, and indeed also the orchestration, because they all fuse together to make the whole. So let's talk first about the first version, which we're about to hear. Do you want to briefly let us know something about what it is we're listening to?
Absolutely. Well, so this first ever recording of Numbers, which I made in spring 2015, is a live recording made on a dictaphone of me playing the piano, and it's just the first couple of verses of it, because that's as far as I got at that point. The song, when I first conceived of it, was kind of inspired by not by the Quentin Show, but by my experience as the frontman of a kind of unsigned, unknown of band, just like watching SoundCloud and Facebook all day, seeing if like the likes or the plays went up. Numbers can be high and they are the best numbers. That's sort of where that comes from. Other numbers up, other numbers down. You're just obsessed with, in that situation, the art goes out of the window and it just becomes about the ratings. So that's kind of where it came from originally. And then I remember chatting to my friend about it, my friend who was in therapy at the time, and he pointed out to me one of the things that they do that he thought was ridiculous in therapy was like they give you like a chart if you're very depressed sometimes, and they'll say, okay, this morning write down your mood out of 10, how happy you are out of 10 for this morning, then do it again at lunchtime, then do it again in the afternoon, and then at the end of the week we're going to take all these numbers and you're going to make a chart that's showing us whether you're getting happier or sadder. Now, I think that sounds mental because
it's a bit reductive, isn't it?
Well, it's just a bit reductive, yeah, but I mean, I'm sure it's helpful, but when I heard that, I was like, okay, and that was kind of when the song clicked into place. So just one final thing I'll say about this recording that you're about to hear. It was, musically, it's a kind of collision of a song by Adam and the Ants from before they became Adam and the Ants. Actually, I think it's a B-side. It wasn't even on one of their albums, but it was when they were all dressing up in black leather and stuff before Kings of the Wild Frontier. And it's great. It's got this crazy riff that goes, and I kind of evolved that into the do 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 riff for Numbers. The other big inspiration at this point in the song's development is Feed Me from Little Shop of Horrors, which of course has that dum dum, that kind of, that 2-syllable hook. That was really where the whole kind of numbers comes from, as well as I guess the chorus rock. Dum 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 dum. That's a bit inspired by Feed Me as well. I'm just rambling now. So that's the that's the first recording.
So we'll hear that now.
Yeah.
Numbers, numbers, numbers tell me everything I ever need to know. Numbers can be high, and they are the best numbers. Are the numbers up, or are the numbers down? Are the numbers up, or are the numbers down? What's your favourite number? Is it 5? What's your favourite thing about being alive? Is it poetry or piety or aiding your society? If you don't like ambiguity, can't tell ugliness from beauty, take my hand and learn exactly where you stand. Overheated air expands, and that's what causes thunder. 16 hours awake and 8 more hours of slumber. When I started singing this, you were 50 seconds younger, and I'll continue singing this for 50 seconds longer.
We're going to call this version 1 for the purposes of this, because it's the first recorded version, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
So, and as you said, I think, as you were introducing it, it's not the full version in the sense it's a record of what you had written so far.
That's right.
So
yeah.
it does end with that rather splendid ending saying, I'm going to sing for 50 seconds longer.
And then it just stops.
Absolutely stops.
No
Marvellous.
more song.
No, I like that, because I think that's quite abrupt, but I appreciate
yeah.
that's not actually a deliberate decision at this stage. Now, I hadn't heard this song before until you provided a copy to me only recently, so I start, if you like, with iteration 2.
That's right, yeah.
So this is going backwards for me. And I can absolutely hear the song that I got to know through iteration 2 in this. But it does, to me, seem very different, just listening to it as an audience. The first thing that struck me, perhaps, is it's a little bit difficult to work out who the narrator of the song actually is. And I think you've sort of explained that. When you were writing the song, you weren't looking to put it in a show. It was a standalone number, was it?
Well, the thing is, that's a really, really good point, Thos. And the reason for that, I think, is because, at that point it was conceived as a song for my band. And songs that you sing with a band don't normally have a narrator, or they often don't. It's, it's more about the music, and you're just kind of playing around in a more poetic level because you're not trying to tell a story, you're trying to make people dance.
The purpose is different, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So that's really interesting. No narrator. Well, yeah, I think that's a really fair point, and I think particularly in this version, which stops so suddenly. Obviously it was never meant to stop there. This is just like a little demo, but it doesn't come to any sort of point, does it? It's just kind of playing around with numbers. I mean, even in version 2, which we'll hear in a moment, the third verse, numbers, how much have I still to prove, numbers, they dictate my every move, that kind of gives us some sort of resolution, just because it identifies the narrator's relationship with numbers as opposed to the narrator saying, what's your relationship with numbers? So that at least finishes the thought.
Yes, I hadn't stopped to think that. It is the question to the audience or the person he's giving his help to.
Yeah, you got to resolve it somehow. So I think that's a totally fair point, that in this version with only the first 2 verses, there's no narrator, there's no kind of identity really to the singer.
Now, what I'd like to do with you, if I may, is I want to actually analyse some of the points.
For sure.
Both lyrically and orchestrally, and then just partly, if only to delineate them in this version, so that when we talk about the variants in other ones, people can actually say, oh yes, although these superficially sound very similar, they are utterly different. Because one of the great pleasures in listening to all 5 versions is how the orchestration has developed. Now, this will become significant as the variants move on, but this starts off with a fairly square 1, 2, 3, 4 beat, it seems to me.
That's right, yeah.
And then you also, in the way you start with the word numbers, and then you repeat the word numbers. Later on, that's going to become a lot more emphatic, because it's going to be a character piece, just the second word.
Totally, yeah.
But at this moment, you're just making the point that the song is about numbers. So, and then, numbers tell me everything I ever need to know. That sounds like it could be a smug thing.
Yeah.
That, I think, is once again a character trait which we may see developed a little
Well,
bit as it goes
that's
on.
quite Quentin, yeah.
Yes.
I mean...
Oh, you can see proto-Quentin in here, I think, if I may say.
Well, yeah, I mean, I sort of am proto-Quentin, so it's unavoidable.
But when I say smug, I mean smug in a character sense. I don't just mean it doesn't come across unpleasantly to the listener. But it is.
Sure.
It's a declaration. Look, numbers are going to tell me everything I'm going to do.
Sure, and it's an extremely ironic declaration because everyone knows that numbers don't tell you everything you need to know. So the song, the Quentin Dentin Show, a lot of the songs do this. It's part of how my humour for this show works. Is just like Quentin is the whole thing of the Quentin Dentin character is that he's so charismatic that he can inveigle his way into your life and put you through this horrible kind of live show torture thing where you're humiliated and made to feel dreadful, and then you'll still thank him for helping you. And that's all about charisma, and really the whole thesis of Quentin Dentin and what the character is and what it kind of signifies in wider spheres. The show's kind of got a vague sort of political element as well, and it's all about charisma and the power of charisma. And the point I'm coming to is that a lot of the songs work this way, starting or having as a hook just something that's blatantly not true. But if you deliver it with enough pizzazz and you're wearing a white suit and you've got a rhyming name, then people are going like, okay, I see that numbers do tell. Okay, so that's kind of a key Quentin trope there.
And I'm going to draw a real life reference that I was reading about in the newspaper only last week. Yes, newspaper listeners, old-fashioned. But people were. Someone was reviewing a self-help book where I'm going to have to say it. Some idiot was suggesting that you are the average person in your close friends, and therefore to improve your life you should dump your least successful close friend and acquire a new one, because it's all about averages.
I mean, that's great.
Yeah, and if you believe that, then that sounds very truthful until you sit down and think, but hang on, no, I'm not the average of my friends, and friendship doesn't work like that anyway.
That's
balls
incredible.
to dash, isn't
I
it?
mean, that is something out of. I mean, that's almost like I want to nick that.
That's
you know what I mean?
Quentin,
Like. That's incredible.
That's
just incredible, actually. Yeah. If you buy that, then
then you deserve to be letting your friends go quiet.
Yeah. If you tolerate this, your children will be next.
But this moment where he says "numbers tell me everything I need to know" brings in that little bum 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 motif that you were talking about. That's where, and I've called it in my notes the piano motif.
Sure, that's what I would call the verse riff.
Oh right, well so we understand what we're talking about as we speak to each other. That starts there because actually, funnily enough, it's very catchy. You were mentioning that some of the songs' elements have been inspired by other songs, but are you aware there's a very old piece of music called Powerhouse, which Raymond Scott. But it's most famous because it was absorbed into a lot of Warner Brothers cartoons. So anytime,
never heard that. No.
I bet you have if you've listened to a cartoon, and it goes dum 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 dum.
Well, just like that 1, 2, 3.
It's called Powerhouse because it's supposed to represent a factory, and it's used in a lot of cartoons with Bugs Bunny's building a machine.
Okay. That's really interesting.
And you'll find it online very easily. Powerhouse by Raymond Scott.
Raymond Scott.
And probably arranged by Carl Stalling from the Warner Brothers cartoons.
Cool, I'll check that out.
And that was a reference, and even if that's not a deliberate one, and quite understandably it isn't, but it's sort of hardwired into a lot of people who've ever watched Warner Brothers cartoons, because it's subliminally the motif for mechanisation. And so that's quite interesting, but you're looking for the same thing. I mean,
it's quite possible that was a subliminal thing. I mean, totally. I went with that riff because it was meant to. Like I was picturing like a graph, like almost like a heartbeat monitor going bum 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 bum, like up and down in those spiky spikes.
They're the best kind of spikes.
Yeah. Spikes can be spiky, and they are the best spikes. Yeah, like
that brings us on to the next lyric. I just wanted briefly to touch on that. What I love there is you're immediately setting out your stall on this kind of glib fake therapy thing going on, because numbers can be high, absolutely truthful. It doesn't mean much, but it's true. And they are the best numbers. You've immediately attributed a value, and I don't mean a numerical value, a kind of value of worth, which, of course, when analysed, is bunkum.
Yeah, no, it's complete nonsense. It's obviously nonsense, but if it's delivered with a smile and it kind of makes you chuckle, it can get in there, and that's how a lot of things work. It's a stupid song about numbers here, but it is true with all sorts of things. If people can say the most outrageous crap, and if they say it, I mean, no one needs this explained to them. Everyone knows this, but that's kind of the point the whole song is making over and over again.
It's dictatorship all over, isn't it? You can be as cruel as you like. If you're to be a successful dictator, all you need to do is bring the crowds with you through charisma.
Exactly.
And then, as I say, just to record this, because we'll be noticing how it's done differently in later versions. It says, "Are the numbers up?" and then there's a gap. Are the numbers down? And then it's repeated. There is more emotion as that's repeated again, but it's question, pause, and then the repeat. Because later on we're going to fill that.
Well, it's much better when it's filled. I mean, this is just it's a work in progress at this stage, and I don't have any kind of artistic explanation for why I did that. I think it's better as it becomes later.
It's a first position, isn't it? I think, the only reason I'm mentioning that is because that when we get to the second or third version, we can see, because you try several different methods to improve that line, which I find creatively.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to be talking about as we go forward. So some of this conversation is at the moment setting out our story.
I see, right.
Then you ask the question, what's your favourite thing about being alive? And that sounds like a therapy question to me. And I love the three things you picked. Is it poetry or piety or aiding your society? These are all very positive things.
Yeah,
but
these are also non-numerical things.
Yes, that's true. So they may have genuine value.
It's kind of a rhetorical question when Quentin says this, what's your favourite thing about being alive? Is it poetry or piety or aiding your society? Then he says, if you don't like ambiguity, can't tell ugliness from beauty, take my hand and learn exactly where you stand. The point is, poetry, piety, aiding your society, they're all crap because you can't put a number on them. That's kind of what he's saying.
They're beyond his comprehension.
Exactly.
And we as a human would clearly say those are clearly the best things. I also love the absolute... well, let's talk about the differences and opposites. So you talk about if you don't like ambiguity, which is, ambiguity is not being able to tell one from the other because they're a bit fused, and you can't tell ugliness from beauty. Now, it seems to me that ugliness and beauty are very easy to tell apart. They are quite the opposite. So he's saying to you, do you suffer from any of these things?
Yeah.
A, or the polar opposite to A?
Yeah.
And of course, everyone's going to fall into that category because it's all encompassing.
Well,
but
exactly.
You need my help if you need A or the opposite of both.
But it goes by so fast that you don't really question it.
But it builds up an image and a sense, and I can see absolutely why Quentin would like this song, and why you gave it to Quentin later on, because it does all his sort of hallmarky things. I think it's glib nonsense. In a way.
I think by the time I'd got to this point in the song, I was already writing it for Quentin. It was literally when I didn't think it was Quentin. I think all I had was just the idea of a song about numbers, pretty much, and like. Numbers tell me, other numbers up, other numbers down. I think that was more or less all I had before, and then it became a Quentin thing.
So it's almost the arrival of the therapy observation that has made this Quentin-esque.
Exactly. Precisely. That was what did it. It was my friend Ollie talking about the numbers, kind of the real life number therapy that people do. And I think I'd been writing the song on the way to his house or something. A lot of stuff happens that way to me. Like it's just random things people say and stuff. And
you're a creative fusion.
Well, yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm not asking you. And that takes us on to the next thing. After that, you then say, "Take my hand and learn exactly
where you stand."
Now, I think this is actually the pivotal lyric in the song so far in this version, because it's not "I'm going to teach you to be better." It's I'm actually going to tell you where you sit in the pantheon I have delineated for you.
Yeah, which number?
Yeah, exactly. So it's not when someone says "Take my hand." It's I'm going to lead you to a better world, or we're going to be lovers, or whatever.
Quentin's like, take my hand and I'll put you in your place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is the box you live in.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. So it's not for your help. It's I'm fitting you into my world view.
Exactly.
I think that's fantastic. So that line itself does it all. Then there's a little break for music, and then we move on to what I think we're going to later call sort of verse 2.
We'll call this the cut verse 2. Yeah.
So you talk about superheated air expanding, and that's what causes thunder, and health is 16 hours away. I can't explain the...
health is 16 hours awake, actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
Right, that's me mishearing.
Health is 16 hours awake and 8 more hours in slumber.
I misheard that as 16 hours away, and you can't take any more hours of slumber, which I took to mean medical health charlatanism. Forgive me, because I thought you were saying that the maximum amount of sleep you can benefit from is 16 hours, which is how I heard it and misinterpreted it. I thought that's the kind of thing you pick up from a self-help book, which may or may not be true. So he's saying, look at my medical credentials.
That's quite a lot of time to sleep, 16 hours.
Oh, yes.
Doesn't leave a lot of time. Well, it leaves 8 hours.
Were you ever a teenager?
Yeah. I mean, I still, sleep 16 hours a day, but I'm, I wouldn't tell anyone to try to live like I do.
So those are sort of random facts, aren't they?
Well, yeah. Superheated air expands, and that's what causes thunder. Health is 16 hours awake and 8 more hours in slumber. I'm just in that bit with the thunder thing. I'm trying to think of like something that's mystical or magical or seems that way, and like explaining it in just the most simple scientific way. And then with the health is 16 hours awake and 8 more hours in slumber. Obviously, that's fitting numbers into life, or rather fitting life into numbers.
You're right, because he's using numbers, even down to something like how your day is laid out.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it's just putting everything into a framework of number, and that goes for the next lines as well. When I started singing, you were however many 50 seconds younger. I never fucking counted the seconds. You have this song, and when I was listening back to them, some of these for the first time in a while, sending to you, I was just like, every single time I recorded that line, I got the number of seconds wrong. It would have been so easy to actually just get that right.
Oh, well, you'll be pleased to know I didn't check either. I took you at face value. So here I am, falling into the hands of a glib but charismatic man who's giving me numbers that mean nothing.
Yes,
So
yes.
I'm living the dream.
Oh, my God, yeah. I was just going to say, I if you give me a moment, I can probably recall some lyrics that never even made it into the song. Like, more or less the only thing that I can remember very well, embarrassingly, is lyrics. I've got a very, very good memory for song lyrics, and that includes mine. So
good.
Even though I think I wrote these, just like an evening on a train 2.5 years ago, I think I can remember it. There was just all sorts of stuff. I should have brought my notebooks, actually, my old notebooks. Questions tear your mind asunder, all in vain you sit and ponder, ditch your pain and join the conga. Numbers make the heart grow fonder. Stuff like that. Yeah. There was all sorts more nonsense,
And once again, they're glib epigrams, aren't they? Sort of stuck together.
Yes, exactly. Epigrams. That's the key. Yeah.
But without Oscar Wilde.
Yeah.
Self-help epigrams, really,
exactly,
aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting to hear what fell on the cutting room floor.
I should have brought my notebooks. I'm kicking myself now because there were all sorts of. There's a lot of working out with all of these.
If you think this is the last time we're going to do this, Henry, you're very much mistaken.
That's true, yeah.
I hope we can do this again. So, we've come, I think, to the end of the analysis we can do for this first version.
First one, yeah.
We'll put it away in a minute, but looking back on it, do you have any kind of final thoughts on that version before we move on to...
Well, just that it's interesting to me how far my practice, such as it is, has progressed, because I just remember when I made that recording, that was how I did everything. I would sit down at my electric piano and turn my dictaphone on and do it live. And, once we get to, I think, number 3, we hear how I approach, more or less the same thing, making a dummy for people to learn from in a much more professional way. So that's really that's kind of what it makes me think when I listen back to it. I'm like, wow, I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore, because that sounds really, really unprofessional.
But it is interesting to revisit, isn't it? Because revisiting is, in fact, actually going back in the past, and we were all different people then.
Yeah.
Let's talk now about version 2, which we're going to hear in just a minute.
Version 2. So this was recorded at Edinburgh Fringe 2015. There were 11 of us in a 3-room flat for 3 students. There were the entire Quentin Dentin team.
Sleeping standing up.
Sleeping standing up, yeah. I was sharing a bed with 2 people, and somehow we managed to record this entirely in our cramped, disgusting flat.
Really?
Yeah.
The quality is beautiful.
Yeah, well, that was all really thanks to Nicky Boyardi, who was my guitarist in my band Jimmy Getaway at the time. Sadly, we're no more together. We've all moved on to other things. Not sadly, actually, for the better. But Nicky was an incredible sound engineer and producer on a kind of shoestring budget. Yeah, so the whole thing's done with just a laptop and an interface and a SM58 mic, and then the instruments plugging into the interface. Nicky could really work marvels with just the most basic of equipment. So that's why it sounds so good. I think it sounds pretty good. I quite like my singing on this recording. And I particularly like the guitar solo, which again is by Nicky, and the wonderful bass by Shafiq Dufresne as well. He does some really nice triplets in the breakdown.
So let's hear version 2 now, which I should just add is the version I first heard and first saw.
That's right.
And I fell in love with.
This was also the week that I met you, Thos.
Yeah.
I think we recorded this like exactly the same time I met you.
I treasure the memories.
Ah.
Numbers, numbers, numbers tell me everything I ever need to know. Numbers can be high and numbers can be low.
Are the numbers up?
Are the numbers up?
Are the numbers down?
Are the numbers down?
Are the numbers up?
Are the numbers up?
Are the numbers down?
Are the numbers down? What's your favorite number? Is it 5? exactly where you stand. Superheated air expands, and that's what causes thunder. Helpless 16 hours awake and 8 per hours of slumber. When I started singing, you were 60 seconds younger, and I'll continue singing for 100 seconds longer. Have I still to prove? Woo! Numbers, they dictate my every move. Music, it's only numbers in a groove. Other numbers up, other numbers down, 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 other numbers up, other numbers down. Numbers. Yeah.
Well, there we are. That's version 2, and I should repeat again. That's the version That's what I think of as, if you like, the archetypal version, the version I fell in love with. But it has a lot of differences from the version we've heard and versions we will hear subsequently coming up.
Yeah.
But for me, if I was being asked what is the biggest change, it's character. And this might be stating the obvious. For me, version 1 sounds like a band version, a pop song. Version 2 sounds like a musical theatre song because the narrator, which was the question we were talking about earlier, the narrator is very clearly now a delineated character, and that character is coming through in the lyrics and in the performance. Now, so this feels like Quentin is singing to me, or whoever he's singing to. We were talking about the quality of the production is better. I've written in my own notes, I've written more electronic in style, beautifully arranged, and then there are a few lyrical changes, some things that have been added here and there. So before we get into some of the detail, is there anything particularly that you remember being pleased with this recording, which we should treat as the original Edinburgh cast recording?
I suppose so, yeah. Well, I was pleased with my vocal performance because I was still playing Quentin at this point in Edinburgh myself, and I was my voice was ragged the whole time. I was smoking like a chimney, and I don't think I had my voice properly under control any one night of that entire run. So it's pretty amazing to me that I sound half decent on this recording. The other thing that I really love is, as I've said, Nicky Boyardi's beautiful guitar solo and just generally the production. Oh no, I remember now, oh no, this is of no interest to anyone, actually. I was going to say we finished recording this on my 23rd birthday, but then I'm like, that's not actually interesting to anyone, and I always hate it when people start talking about, their personal, history in interviews.
It is, but don't forget, it is all about who we are, and that's still a significant landmark.
I suppose so, but anyway, that's what that was.
Well, let's address the smoothness of your voice, because actually I think that ties in with the character. It's not just that the song is written in a much more characterful way, it is performed in a much more characterful way. I can hear your Quentin Dentin character singing this song. And we'll talk about some of the details, but that smoothness goes so much with what you were talking earlier about charisma. That actually you can bring a lot of people with you just by, a smooth
just by
look.
Smiling,
yeah, exactly. It's kind of, I'm welcoming, I'm open.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, yeah.
So let's just have a look again. There's a lovely little sort of electronic burbling kind of thing at the beginning, and we're back to the 1, 2, 3, 4 beat. Then the lyrics start, and in the first one it was numbers. This time it's numbers. I can't do it as well as you do, but it's got that kind of, I know what I'm talking about.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's numbers. So that immediately says, I own this song, I own what you're going to get next. And then it's numbers tell me everything I need to know. And this time the smugness really comes, it's not incidental smugness because it's a smug statement. It is the smugness of the person telling you the statement.
That's right,
so we're back to character. We've had 3 lines if you take numbers and numbers as 2 lines.
Yeah.
In all 3 lines, we've been seeing who Quentin is immediately, right from the get-go, I think. And we're back to the numbers can be high and numbers can be low.
changed that around for that recording. I think that was because I was doing this with my band, and I felt like I should make some sort of concession, even though that it was such a weird, clearly musical theatre song. I felt like I should just make some kind of concession to like anyone who might still be listening to, for Jimmy Getaway.
Yeah.
So I think that was why I did that. I remember going back and forth on that and like exporting it with one version of the line and then changing my mind and exporting it again. Completely stupid, of course, because no one ever heard this recording, because a month later Jimmy Getaway broke up. This recording's only ever been used in contexts like this for like behind the scenes promotion of the show. So it was a bit daft really, but there it is.
But it takes us back to it, but it gives a different reading, doesn't it? Because numbers can be high and they are the best numbers. It talks about that senses ratings, but it also is I'm adding a value and a worth to something that doesn't really have that value or worth. But numbers can be high and numbers can be low is just a kind of vacuous statement. It's true. He's back to glib here, isn't he? He's sort of, I've already won you over with my statement about how it tells me everything I need. Then we move on to the are the numbers up and are the numbers down thing. Now previously it was are the numbers up, gap, are the numbers down.
Yeah.
It's now voices off, asking a question, are the numbers up? And then Quentin appears to be replying in whisper, are the numbers up? And then you repeat it, so you fill the gap.
Yeah.
And with what's essentially an odd duologue between, it seems to me at least, you must know wrong, off voices, because there is always this sense that Quentin is also performing, not just for an audience, but a specific audience that we never quite know, enigmatically.
Well, we're going to find out a lot more about that in the new version of the Quentin Dentin Show, folks. We find out a lot more about, where Quentin comes from and what exactly is the voice that's talking to him, where that comes from. Satellites are involved, God is involved. I won't say more than that. Some sort of collision between the two, possibly. You're quite right. He's performing to everyone, and that those offstage kind of whispering voices definitely play into that. Having said that, I remember on this recording I was just trying to fill up that bit. I felt like it was too sparse. You want to be building to the chorus. You don't want to come down in energy from the verse in your bridge that leads to the chorus.
It's a fuller lyric just by repeating it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it just keeps the song. I just think of it as like energy levels, and going da 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 3 4 da 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 da. It's just clearly lower energy. So I think I just put that in just to fill up the space, and then we'll hear in the next version. I figure out a solution to that finally. This is a bit of an inelegant solution, really. But
it's interesting then that you were saying that, because in previous and later versions, when you get to the are the numbers up, are the numbers down, whatever iteration we're going to get, then you cut in immediately with what's your favourite number, is it 5? Here, there's a little guitar break, so there's a kind of moment of reflection, shall we say, before the question comes in.
Again, that's because this was recorded with Jimmy Getaway, and my conception of this as maybe a song for the band, in a way I'd always want there to be a guitar break there, but it's not something you can do on stage, because you can't just have 2 bars of just the guitar rocking out to kind of establish the rock. So it's still a hybrid. Yeah, at this stage it's still a hybrid, and that's one of the things that I put in because this was the band rather than the musical. Your listeners can judge for themselves how unlikely it ever was that Jimmy Getaway was going to break into any sort of pop market with a song like this. I was just completely on another planet, I was like listening to a lot of Oingo Boingo, and I was thinking like, the world's ready for more like weird pop music. I was wrong.
Yes, but you have grabbed a few of us on your journey. So.
Yeah, the musicals work better. It works better in the musicals.
I just want to then touch on what I think is one of my favourite lines in the song, and survives throughout all 5 versions, which is, what's your favourite number? Is it 5?
Is it 5?
Yeah. What I love about that is such an arbitrary question. It's almost aggressive in its arbitrary nature. What is your favourite? Is it 5?
Yeah.
It's I find that combination of it's silly funny. And I'm a great fan of silly funny. It's as though I could possibly guess what it is, but I'm also trying to force my guess on you, which of course ties in with Quentin's odd character. I mean, it's a silly question to have asked, but in every possible sense, it's a non-common sense question.
Yeah,
and it's silly funny.
Totally.
So I love that exchange.
I was going to have it go, what's your favourite number? Is it 5? And then the backing goes, is it 4? But that I actually felt that was not as good as
it would undercut it. Or this works in character. Now, some of the notes I've taken is that we're when you're singing what's your favourite thing about being alive, is it poetry or piety or aiding your society, all those positive things again. Funnily enough, in the background there's this kind of, I've used the word raucous, I mean sort of strong musical background against these what I think of sort of humanist questions. There's the contrast going on here. But the thing I found most interesting is that in this version, my interpretation is that by this stage, Quentin is asking questions not for the benefit, not that he ever asks questions for the benefit of the people he's speaking to, but it's almost he's asking questions to find out what the answer that he doesn't know, but he knows there's a gap in his knowledge. And but actually, by asking questions about the things which are not numbers, he's actually sort of asking his patients to treat him. I may be overreading this because I've seen the play.
Yeah, I don't know. I that is definitely a thing that happens in the play, and that's a dynamic that exists in the play. I don't know if I was intending to express it here, but that's, of course, how art works. You know, it's a collection of things, and you see them wherever you see them. Yeah, I can't really comment on that, except to say that is a thing that the show is kind of about, as well as Quentin's journey of self-discovery as a robot, and his journey of self-discovery ultimately leads him towards evil rather than towards good. Yeah,
but it's thematically accurate.
It's thematically completely accurate. Can't say that I was thinking of that here. It's kind of, in my head anyway, it's rhetorical, this moment. He's just being like, please, it's not poetry or piety or raising your society. It's numbers.
Yes.
Oh,
you're wrong.
Yeah, you're just wrong. Yeah, exactly.
That's namby-pamby lovely stuff. No.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of how I hear it. But I wouldn't argue with your interpretation.
Well, I suppose there's always open for interpretation. And then the next lyrics are more or less the same, I think. There's
the cut verse too.
That's right. But just before we get into the superheated air element, there's a very excellent musical break again. And for me, it was interesting to hear that sort of what I've called the piano motif and what you were calling the riff comes back in there.
Yeah.
So you've used it in different places in different versions of the song. Then we get back to when I started singing. In this occasion, you were 60 seconds younger.
Still wrong, though.
And 100 seconds is how much longer I'm going to be singing.
Both still wrong, though. Changed the numbers, didn't get them right. Amazing. I mean, what was I thinking? Seriously. I was like, I'll change these numbers.
Randomly.
Randomly, exactly.
But in a way, that you're living the dream, because that is thematic, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so.
The numbers mean nothing, so it doesn't matter which ones you use. And then, and I think you've mentioned this, there is a wonderful guitar break.
The guitar break's beautiful, isn't it?
And I can't describe it except to say that it sounds pizzicato, it sounds robotic, and I've actually written in handwriting when I was listening to it again on the way here for this interview. I've written lovely, because I think it's absolutely gorgeous.
It is so good. Nicky Boyardi is a wonderful guitarist, currently playing with a band called Stereo Honey. I'm sure he could do with some session work, though. If there are any producers listening, give him a call.
And then the song goes into new territory because we didn't have this on the previous recording. So the way it starts is, now I've got to ask you this, there is a count up and count down, so it's numbers basically, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then back down again to 1, then up to 7, and then you don't go to 8, you use an and then go back from 7 back down again, so it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 into numbers.
It does go back to 8, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we do get another 8.
Really, on this recording, because maybe I need to listen to it again, but to my ear, and it could be my ear is wrong, I thought he's done something. I thought you'd actually put and instead of 8 because I thought you were deliberately playing with the numbers, and I thought this is a man who's confident enough in his singing, but he's made it more complicated for himself than he needs to.
It's quite possible.
The later versions are all 8.
Right.
But I think this version, maybe it's just I've misheard it, but
I don't know.
I don't want to overplay that. But there's that pizzicato guitar underneath as you're singing that. Has a kind of sort of, I've said it has a kind of delicacy.
Isn't he playing triplets in that bit? He's going
yeah, that's right. So there's a kind of delicacy to that, as you are using, it sounds like you're shouting out number computer code.
I mean, this is actually one of my favourite bits of the song, because I have a tendency to be quite verbose as a writer, or I did when I started. I'm always pleased when I can get something that's really simple. And I'm really proud of this breakdown just because it's so daft, and it's when you see the show, it's the friends, Quentin's two kind of beautiful blonde girl helpers who are also brainwashed robots in white jumpsuits, shouting numbers at each other, and they're kind of having a conversation using just numbers. And the song kind of ends on this observation that music is made of numbers, and obviously we all know rock songs where they go 1, 2, 3, 4. So. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really fond of this bit. It's kind of the purest distillation of what I was trying to go for in this song, like a kind of really rocking song sung by machines, you know?
Yeah, I do, absolutely. And well, it won me over. I like these lyrics at the end. Numbers. How much more have I still to prove? Says Quentin. And in a way, it's almost he's saying it to himself, I think, because he.
No, I'm just remembering. This was the bit that was about SoundCloud and stuff. That's me talking about. Yes, bitching about like not getting any plays on SoundCloud.
Oh, is that what it means?
Because
there's this lovely bit, isn't there, where he says numbers dictate my every mood, which of course if he's a robot, digitally that's true.
Yeah.
And then there's music is only numbers in a groove. Now this lyric does not survive into later versions.
No.
But I love it because I think it works on lots of different levels again. When you think of music and grooves, you immediately think, I think of LPs,
Sure.
which is retro, but it's all still number technology, it's just an older version of it. But of course, groove has the meaning of the word cool, which is what Quentin is trying to suggest that he has.
I think I meant it more in terms of like, when we talk about the groove of a song, we talk about kind of the way that the parts lock in together and the pulse.
So you're talking about groove almost in a strange way like carpentry, but actually line and groove to connect. Maybe not.
No, I think maybe it's a thing that it's a term that only like rock musicians use, but we talk about the groove of a song. Oh, is that grooving properly?
Right, okay. So it's not the slang version; it's a meaningful term in it.
Yeah, for me, music is only numbers in a groove. Is like it's only numbers put in a rhythmic order. Like that's what a groove means for me. It's like the way that everything locks in, the way the pulse goes.
I think it's quite fascinating. I love the fact that because you're a professional musician and I'm just a lay listener, and we've got these totally different interpretations of some of the same lyrics, and yet they still sort of head in the same direction.
Well, that's kind of a problem with the lyric when if that's happening, you've got a problem.
Well, it doesn't survive anyway, so
Exactly,
maybe you spotted that. And then we have, and I'm only going to repeat this almost for the record once again, there's the other numbers up, other numbers down. So, funny enough, the answer to are the numbers up is are the numbers down. So instead of having are the numbers up, repeat, as we had earlier, are the numbers down, repeat. So we've conflated the two together, and that's going to happen a lot more in later versions. You use it 8 times here, quietly for the first 4 times, and then with much more emphasis on the last 4, which that kind of sort of urgency and emphasis suggests, once again, ratings again. And remember, as you said yourself, it's the Quentin Dentin Show within the Quentin Dentin Show, and this is the opening number of that Quentin Dentin Show. It's almost like he is overtly saying, what are my ratings like in this show?
Totally, yeah.
And he's almost, I've written it says, outside people watching, are they audience or are they arbiters, which is a plot element,
Yeah,
of
for
course.
sure. Yeah, well, both are watching him in the plot. Both the audience and the his bosses, judging his progress.
And then you just finish with a simple numbers, and then there's a woohoo, which is obviously a cry of joy. And I've written, you get this sort of confident ending for Quentin.
Yeah, totally.
It's a look at me moment, actually.
Exactly,
I'm
yeah.
already the master of this situation I've set up.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, having said that, though, with that ending, I don't think there was any kind of lyrical or intellectual reason for doing it that way. I think I just remember with this one, I was really struggling with that "are the numbers up, are the numbers down" refrain, and like making it work, making it build. Like, because in both the times it comes around, it's the bridge into a really big thing.
Yeah.
So
Yes, it is.
I think in this version, I'm just kind of decontextualizing the lines and just playing with them as musical things to kind of get the song's energy to build up to the end. It's not really any kind of...
it's a song profile almost rather than a meaningful profile. Is that the ending?
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Well, the ending is the thing that's going to change most in the later versions, I think. So it's very interesting that you're saying that, which I think leads us nicely to version number 3.
Okay, so here we are at version 3, and this is when the song starts kind of getting good. So
always good.
No,
even
this is when I start liking the song. I always felt there was something wrong with it before. So after Edinburgh, where the show was a kind of mixed success, we did fairly well, but we also didn't do brilliantly well. So we kind of came back, and there was this re-evaluation period, and I was at that time just beginning working with Paul Garrett. Now, Paul Garrett is a composer. He was one of the founding members of the band The Kooks, and I have been lucky enough for the last 2 years to be working with Paul on a new synth-pop Cold War spy paranormal opera, which I very much hope I'll be talking to Thos about when it's finished in 10 years.
You sure
will.
And
I played this song to Paul because he's a bit of an expert on pop songs. So I played it to him just as a kind of, this is a Jimmy Getaway recording, not really as a sort of, this is from Quentin Dentin. And Paul pointed out it's got no hook. He was like, where's the hook in this song? And I'm like, yeah, I guess it's numbers. Oh no, wait, that's not really a hook, is it? Shit. So I sort of went away from that, and I was like, how did I miss this? And then I came up with 'Cause Numbers Make the World Go Round, which it's simple, and it's another, blatantly untrue, stupid phrase. But that's kind of what makes it a perfect thing to sort of cap the song off. And I was quite pleased with that, because to me it sort of sums up the lack of message in this song, or just the lies that this song is full of. So yeah, I went back to the song, reworked that. That's why we lose groove, actually. It becomes music is only numbers making sound to rhyme with world go round. So yeah, I went back to the song, started working on it again with that. Immediately everything started feeling much, much better. Also went back to the kind of texture of it and reworked the riff to make it more, reworked the groove, I would call it, to be honest, the pulse, to make it more jerky and just more kind of, just more funky, really. Like it sort of changing it from like a march, which had a bit of the feel of before.
Which is that 1, 2, 3,
yeah,
4.
Exactly. Boom, 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 boom. That's how the bass used to go. And from this point on, it goes boom, 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 which sounds like nothing, but it actually has a really big effect on the feel of the song. I also slowed it down by about 10 BPM, which has a big effect on the song. And what else did I do? Yeah, in the numbers dance from this point on, it goes up to B. It goes A, do 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 do. It changes key a little bit, and little things like that really have a big effect in a 3-minute song. You got to get away from the thing so that you can come back to it. If you just stay there the whole time, then it gets really boring.
Little
and
aggregate benefits add up to a big whole improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. And so so the next recording that you'll hear is my demo of the rewritten version of Numbers, which was given to the cast of the first of the 2016 production of Quentin Dentin, where we played Above the Arts. This is what was given to the actor then, and that's what this is. But already I feel like it's a lot better, in my opinion.
Do you want to mention the na na na?
Oh yeah, afterwards? Right. Yeah. The other thing that I did was, because from this point on, this is kind of when the development of Quentin got kind of a bit more serious. I also had learned a lot more by this point, so I was like, there aren't any refrains. I mean, I was just worrying about the fact that at that point there were no sort of musical themes running through the show, and that's the thing I've done much more to address now. Now the show's actually really musically coherent, but at the time it wasn't. So I kind of put that ending in where it goes big and then it goes small with the shh bit, which is such a classic kind of trick. And then it's sort of interpolating the na 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 riff from the finishing song of the show, which is called All Together Now, onto the end of Numbers. And All Together Now has the chorus na 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 na, because, well, I don't want to spoil the show, but it's robots singing it, let's put it that way. And they're robots, so their minds are empty and they're joyful about it, and they're just going na 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 na. And this, probably after that, this is maybe the second most meaningless song in the Quentin Dentin Show. So it felt like an appropriate place for Quentin to stick that in and just go joyfully like na 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 Numbers,
Yeah, it sets it up for later on as well.
Exactly,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's a very joyful na 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 though.
It is. It's very joyful. Yeah.
Should we hear it now?
Let's.
Numbers, numbers, numbers tell me everything I ever need to know. Numbers can be high, and they are the best numbers. Other numbers up, other numbers down, 'cause numbers make the world go round. Other numbers up, other numbers down, 'cause numbers make the world go round. What's your favourite number? Is it 5? Is it 5? What's your favourite thing about being alive? Is it poetry or piety or aiding your society? If you don't like ambiguity, can't tell ugliness from beauty, take my hand, learn where you stand, 'cause numbers make the world go round. Come on everybody and buckle your pants, time to do the number dance. 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. How much have I still to prove? Woo! Numbers, they dictate my every move. Music is only numbers making sound. 'Cause numbers make the world go round. Shh. Numbers make the world go round. Other numbers up, other numbers down. 'Cause numbers make the world go round. Na 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 na. Numbers, 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 no, 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 numbers, numbers, numbers. Yeah.
Now, once again, I'm going to go in with what I thought of when I listened to this in succession. I think, once again, if you were just listening to these casually, you would think this version is very similar in tone to the second version. You think it's, the character's still very clearly the same character.
Yeah, well, it's me singing it again,
Yes, which of course does send continuity, or give it continuity, and it has an electronic orchestration. But this is very superficial, because I think this version, as you quite rightly said, is almost, if you like, the landing version.
I think so.
And
yeah.
Future versions we're going to hear later in the programme are merely variants upon it.
That's right. Yeah.
So this is, if you like, this is when the song has come to it's got bottom now. It's reached its critical mass. And actually, you've summed up one or two of the things already that I've noticed, which is I'd spotted that the 1, 2, 3, 4 beat had gone, and in my very layperson's terminology, I've written bum 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 bass line starts before the lyric, and once again that old clockwork piano motif riff starts here as the lyrics start again. So, but you've already picked up on that. But but actually you've given it a slightly more dynamic, considerably more dynamic sort of bass line, which gives it. When I use throbbing, I mean throbbing in the best possible sense.
Totally, yeah.
And throbbing is an overheating engine, isn't it? That's,
Yeah,
once again,
totally, yeah.
mechanisms going slightly beyond their
No,
capabilities.
it's all mechanical, all this music, yeah.
And back to the performance, it's you singing it, but I think there's a slightly more triumphant, it's more triumphant, this QED, this Quentin. He seems even more assured than he was in his previous one. I don't know if that's because you're more comfortable with the song.
I think that's probably because I recorded this in my room leading up to a London production rather than in a horrible flat in Edinburgh thinking that I'd completely screwed the whole thing up. So that's probably where the triumph comes from.
So it's method.
Totally, yeah.
So the lyrics at the beginning are exactly the same, numbers, and then that beautifully, tremendously smug, as I say, I think you do it with even more smugness, and it is even funnier in this version. But then numbers tell me everything I need to know. There's a lovely little moment, right at the moment it says, numbers tell me everything I need to know. There's a little chime, kind of bing on the word numbers, which of course to me it makes me think, microwave oven has finished, or the computer, particularly 1970s computers used to go bing when they finished their calculations.
Love it, yeah.
And I thought to myself, that tells me the computer has finished its thinking and is now going to tell me what is coming out of its now dead brain, as it were.
Yeah, totally. Turns out it's numbers.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, totally. I mean, things like that in my synth demos are so easy because I'm just sitting there with like my synth on my knees, and it's very easy to just be like, this kind of could use some high end here, so I'll put in a chime. It's unfortunately some things like that have to be cut just because we've got a 3-piece band and I'm playing 2 keyboards, and sometimes there's not. I guess I could do it with my nose or something, but like
it's a stick.
Yeah, exactly.
But on this version, if once again, it's a kind of sort of studio recording of everything it might be. That chime, I think that chime really works. I like it musically, but I like it, funnily enough, within the context of what we're getting. Then we're back to numbers can be high, and then they are the best numbers. So we've reverted to the original lyric. Now, you've just mentioned you went back and forth on version 2. So what made you finally come up with this being the settled version?
Well, by this time I'd completely kind of, Jimmy Getaway was no more, and the idea of doing this as a song for a kind of quirky indie band was no more. So this was just put together for the show. So I went with the kind of what I see as the musical comedy lyric as opposed to the kind of halfway approachable lyric.
Neither here nor there as it was. But I like this lyric. I think. Well, I like them all, to be honest. But I see why you've made that decision. But I like your performance here again. I assume this is deliberate, but there's a kind of, you sort of mechanise the way you speak at one level. You know that when you hear badly pre-recorded messages where a computer or an automated system is speaking to you with pre-made up bits of sentence, which are sometimes not always recorded on the same day or even by the same voice. So it's kind of, you now need to go to aisle 4.
Right, yeah.
So
yeah.
there's the way you do it here, and they are the best numbers. There's it happens several times in the piece. I don't know if it's musical breathing and just your performance, but if you listen carefully, to me at least, it comes across with that kind of a conversation has been cut up and stuck back together again. So it's, your set phrases, numbers can be high, and they are the insert comment here. In this case, the best numbers.
Well, I wish I could say it that intentionally. It's quite possible that what you're hearing is actually genuinely cut up vocal takes, because I do that a lot, because when I make these recordings, everything has to be pretty much in tune so that the actors can hear what the tune's meant to be. So I do end up cutting up different takes and putting them together, without much surgery, quite a lot. So it's quite possible that that's what you're hearing.
So I'm actually hearing it. Right?
Maybe, yeah.
Well, funnily enough, it works brilliantly. I certainly thought it was. I will tell you what I thought. I thought Henry is a man of great subtlety in his performances, because he's putting these sort of tiny little semi-breaths in order to get that, that tiny pause that gives it across. I'd say take the credit.
Well,
and then we're back to the "Are the numbers up?" which in the past was "Are the numbers up?" gap, and then became "Are the numbers up?" repeated "Are the numbers up?" as a kind of answer. You've now conflated that and "Are the numbers down?" into one simple "Are the numbers up?"
Are the numbers down? Because numbers make the world go round. Yeah. And I think that's so much better.
And that's your hook, isn't it?
That's the hook. Numbers make the world go round. It's a good hook for the song. It's, as you've written here, it's the point of the song. That's what you want a hook to do, really. It's also almost kind of less meaningful than it was before, because then at least it was a question. Now it's a question that you answer, but it's not even an answer to the... Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's even more nonsense this way. So I kind of like it.
And yet, I mean, the resonance I get, of course, is the other song with that kind of title or line in it is...
Money makes the world go round.
I was going to say love makes the world go round. I'm going back to my 30s forebears here,
I was actually thinking of Cabaret. Money makes the world go round.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Cabaret is set in the 2030s.
Yeah.
The song I'm thinking of is a legitimate 30s song, which is called "Love Makes the World Go Round,"
right.
Which I wonder if Money was a spoof of that.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, love makes the world go round is the phrase. Yeah, it's kind of like the Coca-Cola advert. Although that was "I'll teach the world to sing."
Although it's that same kind of sentiment, isn't it?
I'm sure people say "Love makes the world go round."
But you were talking earlier about, we were talking about the reductiveness that Quentin has and the whole thing has, in that sense that love is back to one of those poetry and piety. It's one of the positives. It's a healthy, lovely thing. The kind of thing he doesn't respond to. No. He's replaced it with numbers.
That's right.
So even, I appreciate not everyone will have picked that up, but and it may not even be there, but I do like the fact that the versions I think of are sweet and fluffy, and this is the kind of it's just numbers.
Yeah, well, people do say stuff like that, don't they? Love makes the world go round, or
all the time.
People ascribe the world going round to all sorts of things. The one thing they never say is, like, I guess, like
Copernican theory.
Exactly. Or the rotation of the core makes the world go round.
Yeah,
it's not the kind of thing you hear people say.
Brian Cox is both an astrophysicist and a musician. Maybe he's.
Brian Cox, he doesn't like to acknowledge the music, though. When I've seen him interviewed a bunch, and they always ask him like wacky questions, because he was in D-Ream or however you say it, and he always kind of
bats it off.
Bats it off, yeah.
Then we're back to what's your favourite number? Is it 5? What's your favourite thing about being alive? Once again, it's the same answer as last time, perhaps, but there is another one of those lovely little tiny gaps. What's your favourite thing about being alive?
That's in the music, yeah.
Oh, fine.
What's your favourite thing about being alive? That's how it goes.
But it goes back to that mechanical cut-up sentence again, because if I was expecting the ticket machine in a British railway station to sing that to me, that's how I would expect it to do it.
It's also kind of a play on staying alive.
Oh, I suppose, yeah.
I just mean in a musical sense, like the reason why it's that way is because being alive, staying alive, that's a thing that we've heard before in songs. So you put it on the kind of you put it on the accent place where you've heard it in other songs,
Yeah, no, you mean, of course, because in a way one expects to hear what one expects to hear.
Yeah, I try to play with things that we know,
And then later on, a little bit later on, so we've been through ugliness and beauty and the ambiguity, where once take my hand and I'll show you where you stand, you've elided the two, to use the posh term, into one sentence, which then allows you to go with, because numbers make the world go round. So it's take my hand, learn where you stand. So you make it as almost an internal rhyme, and snappier and pithier and quicker. And then it goes back to our splendid because numbers do. Then, once again, that clockwork piano motif starts again here. And then, I've got to ask, because you know I love this bit. Come on, everybody. Is it unbuckle your pants or buckle your pants?
And buckle your pants. Like, he wants you to buckle up tighter.
Yes, it's good. Yeah. More...
Quentin wants you to
contained.
be more uptight and contained, exactly, yeah.
But it does it. But it has the reverse effect at one level, because obviously it's such a beautifully silly thing to say.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is, and it makes me grin and smile, and every time I hear it, and I've heard it a lot, but I just love it.
Thanks.
And it's done with such sort of glee as well. You know, you can hear the Quentin character having fun at the expense of others because they're buckling up. But so come on, everybody, and buckle your pants. Time to do the number dance. Now, it's only when I wrote this down I realised it's number singular and not numbers plural. And of course, when you see it as number dance, you suddenly think, well, hang on a minute, people refer to a dance number.
And that is a joke that is made after this. Yeah,
it's one and then flipped over, isn't it? So it's, I mean, you know, forgive me, this is. They go so fast that there's no way you could ever pick up all of these points unless you sat down and looked at the lyrics. But they are full of tiny little jokes and wordplay and bounce, which I think actually adds to the, you know, there's a kind of, sort of bubbling loveliness under the whole song, as well as what you're seeing, obviously.
Well, thanks, Thos. I mean, you know, I appreciate that, but that's kind of how it has to be. Like that. I mean, that's not how it has to be. You know, there's no rules, but it's got to be full of content, because it's. The whole Quentin Dentin Show is built around these songs. These songs have to be the strongest thing in it, and they have to be the points where, you know, Quentin expresses himself most truthfully, I suppose, and
or perhaps exposes himself.
That's much more right. Yeah, exposes himself most truthfully. I guess it comes down to, like, the character, really. Keith and Nat sing songs in the musical more now than in the new version, and they
once didn't at all, did they?
They once didn't at all. No, then they had one. Now they have one together and one each,
which is entirely appropriate for their journeys.
Yeah, and they're written in a very simple way. And in my other solo musical, Summer Nights in Space, you know, I don't always write in this style, full of these little, you know, wordplay and things, but I think that's what Quentin is. I see Quentin as someone who just, like, smoked a crack pipe. Like, he's firing on all cylinders. Do you know what I mean? He's so alive and so on it and worked up, and that's kind of why all of these songs are so lyrically dense. Is because Quentin's just going 10 times as fast as everyone else. Even if you don't understand all of the jokes or you don't notice them as they go by, you get that he's doing stuff.
You feel
even
it
if
somehow.
you feel that Quentin is being clever faster than you can think, and like that's really the effect that it's going for.
But that is that's a truism in life in a strange way sense, isn't it? Because actually, you know, forgive me, the characters of the couple they're quite bland, they're caught in their ways, they're stuck in a routine. He is charismatically overwhelming them, but actually part of charisma is that you like, or you think you like, the person or what's being projected to you in terms of image. I'm just trying to think of characters both from fiction and in real life. You know, someone like Stephen Fry, whose brain is clearly bigger than a house.
Do you know? I'll tell you one reference that I've always used for Quentin is Steerpike from Gormenghast.
Oh, I know, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Titus Groan and all that.
Exactly, yeah. So with Steerpike, like, he's the wonderful thing about reading those books is, like, he's so clever, and you watch him being clever and killing people off,
yes,
and advancing himself in this horrible, stupid society. But you admire him until the very end because he's so clever and he's so sure, he's so great with words, and I think he's a
malevolent Doctor Who in that sense.
Yeah.
Who's the cleverest man in the room, isn't he?
Exactly. It's the whole cleverest man in the room thing, and I'm really fascinated by that, and I'm fascinated by the lengths to which we will like evil people because they're attractive, and that's the So Steerpike's a big kind of reference for Quentin from classic literature, I guess.
Yeah, very good. I wonder how many. Well, I suppose it was televised about.
It was
10,
televised in 2000. Yeah. Beautiful, actually, with Jonathan Rhys-Meyers. I love that adaptation.
It looked, didn't it? That's right.
It looks wonderful. It's got this whole kind of Chinese vibe to it.
Oh, It's funny. I just remember it as chorally somehow.
It's not choral in it, yeah, but the whole of Gormenghast kind of is. I don't know. Apparently, it's based on like the imperial city, and like they kind of went for that sort of depiction of it. Yeah.
Taking us back to the song. Well, no, I enjoyed the little tangent, but after when it's time for the numbers dance, or the number dance, I should say. Certainly in this, there's a sort of lovely musical break.
Oh man. This is just me messing around.
But you know, it sounds. I mean, I like. There's a kind of the way I've described it. It's hard to describe. I've written there's a contrast of sounds which are robotic against non-rhythmic sounds, which of course, just for courtesy of being non-rhythmic, sound organic. So
I was trying to make it like the Moomins. I was trying to just do two Moomins talking to each other.
Tove Jansson.
Yeah,
right? Yes.
Yeah. So that's what that's meant to be. I mean, that the musical break in this version is just play. Like that was never intended to be in the show, any version of the show. I'm just effing about there and making Moomin noises. So that's what that is. But
it's lovely. It's sort of almost trancey in a strange way. I use trancey in a layperson's sense of trance.
Yeah. Yes. You mean not like trance music?
Well, I don't really know what trance music is, so I couldn't comment on it.
You know, like electro dance music kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't. That's faster, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I barely know what trance music is either.
I just think
more as in like it puts you in a trance.
Yeah, that's right. It feels sort of almost soporific and yet engaging. You know, you're not being lulled to sleep; you're being taken into its world, which of course is yes.
You know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something sweet about it as well.
Yeah, I think so.
So we're back to numbers, and we've got Quentin enjoying himself. You're letting rip with the the woos and the. How numbers dictate. So the lyrics are pretty similar to where they used to be, but there are still a few changes. So, for example, music is only numbers making sound, which, as you said, was no longer numbers in a groove for the rhyming purposes.
I was sorry to lose that, but it's actually clearer what it means this way as well.
And people understand entirely what it means because we all live in a digital world. So, which has been a thematic thing we keep returning to. And then we've got other numbers up, other numbers down, because numbers make the world go round. On this occasion, it's not done 8 times, it's done 6 times. And the last 2 go very quiet. In fact, you did exactly what you mentioned already. You go the shh, which has that effect. And then that allows you to go into what I think you call your... descant.
For the descant,
yes. And then there's this kind of lovely freestyling at the end, where previous it was, here we are, numbers. This time it's numbers. I can't do it justice, but you really sing it.
Yeah, well, it's just again, it's playing on things that we know. That's a rock cliche, isn't it? I'm struggling all of a sudden to think of a concrete example of that, but like it. Well, no, I mean, it's like the bit in Hey Jude where Paul McCartney is kind of doing that slightly embarrassing, like, that's a thing that people do.
But also, I mean, I wasn't getting any of those cultural references at all. I was just getting, here's a man who's so now in charge of
so much,
and he loves himself.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean it rudely. There's this very strong sense of, I love numbers. I love me telling you about numbers. So I'm going to.
I love singing this song, and I want to keep on doing it.
I'm going to say the word numbers over and over again in lots of different ways, basically,
totally.
Until we finish off with the numbers. So there's a kind of, I like that triumphant ending, but I have said it's also there's that final numbers with the is oddly redundant. Not musically, but because he's already made the point about numbers throughout. He's numbers, a bit of freestyling numbers, and then finally numbers. Really honestly, it's like someone coming back in the room. I'm going now. Goodbye. And just putting their head around the door again. And go, oh, numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I think I was trying to get the impression across that. Because the thing with the Quentin show is throughout the whole thing, that the music is happening like diegetically, like it's not just a kind of abstract way of expressing heightened emotion.
No, he's singing the
Quentin
songs.
Has a band on stage that are, through the magic of technology and magic, sort of putting this song together on the fly to seduce Nat and Keith. So Quentin is able to kind of distort the song when he wants to. And I just wanted to get this impression that like Quentin just loves it and he doesn't want to stop.
Yes.
So we go like numbers up and the numbers down, and then he's like shh, so that he can bring it back with a thing, and then he still won't stop, and then he does it again. So
and it is that, isn't it? It's not stopping in a strange way. When everyone else is, the point has been got and we're all slightly clenching now.
And he's just dragging it out.
But that iteration is, as you say, I think, in some senses, it's the version of the song which survives with tweaks and twiddles and changes.
Yeah.
But it's not the end of the story, as we're going to hear here. So this brings us on to variant 4.
Now, this is the version. This is recorded in the rehearsal studio and it features myself on synth bass and Archie Wolfman on drums and Mickey Howard on guitar. Now, Mickey, Archie and myself are the current Quentin Dentin band, and they've been just so much better than everyone else who's worked with me on the music before. They've really kind of really just got into it and got it, and they're both fabulous musicians and great collaborators. So what you hear in this recording, and the reason why I included it,
yes,
Thos, was because I think that this shows kind of the last big puzzle piece going in, and what that is the kind of effed up drums. We've got this sort of weird drum pattern, and where that came from was Devo, and specifically their cover of Satisfaction. I played to the guys, and we figured out a variant on that for the drums for the verse of this song. I wanted to get that reference in. Just for the record, that wasn't a one-off thing. Devo is probably the single biggest influence on the Quentin Dentin Show.
Yes.
I've stolen huge swathes of stuff from
Homaged.
Devo. Homaged, yeah. Particularly, if any of your listeners are interested and don't know about Devo, there's an album called Oh No, It's Devo, which is just the blueprint for Quentin Dentin, not sound-wise, but lyrics-wise. And Devo themselves said of the album that they were accused on the previous album of being fascist clowns. So for their next album, they set out to make an album by fascist clowns. And that's what it is. And that was the whole vibe on that album. It's got songs like That's Good, which is a song just about a good thing. Everybody, it's a good thing. Everybody wants a good thing. Everybody, ain't it true that everybody's looking for the same thing? Lyrics like that. And there's another song called Patterns, which is, about patterns in your life. Can you recognise the patterns that you find stuck in your mind? It's not about any specific pattern. It's just about patterns.
I can't help but feel the writers of the Lego Movie might have had some. Might have seen this.
Mate, Mark Mothersbaugh wrote the music for the Lego Movie.
Did he?
Mark Mothersbaugh, lead singer of Devo. Yeah.
Is that true?
He wrote the music. Yeah, he was the composer
fantastic.
on the Lego Movie. He's
As in Everything Is Awesome.
Yeah. Actually, I think the Lonely Island wrote that. I think that one was farmed out to them, but Mark Mothersbaugh did all the rest of the composition, and I'm sure his kind of aesthetic was a big influence on it. Yeah.
Oh, how fascinating! Because that feels like the connection to me, and it's interesting that you've just confirmed that.
Yeah.
How wonderful.
Well, yeah, and so what was I saying? Oh, yes. So as with so much else through the development of the show, I come back to Devo time and time again for kind of like direction with this show, and so I came to them again, and I thought, what this song needs, Numbers, is. It's so wacky and it's so meaningless, and I think I kind of felt like we'd been playing it too straight in a way, so people maybe weren't getting the jokes. So I was like, right, we're just going to make it sound mad, and I think once we got that drum pattern in, the song really started to work. Just everything was telling the story about the numbers, the music and the lyrics at that point.
So let's hear that now, and we should say it's a rehearsal recording.
This is a rehearsal recording, yeah.
Numbers tell me everything I ever need to know. Numbers can be high, and they are the best numbers. Are the numbers up, are the numbers down? 'Cause numbers make the world go round. Are the numbers up, are the numbers down? 'Cause numbers make the world go. What's your favorite number in life? What's your favorite thing about make the world go round. Come on everybody, up to your pants. Time to do the number dance. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, seven, six, five, four, three, two. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. How much have I filled through? Hey, numbers. They didn't take my every move. numbers, 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 numbers. Yeah.
Well, there we are. That's the fourth version. And my initial thoughts when I heard it were along the lines of, obviously the lyrics haven't really changed at all because they are now more or less what they should be.
Yeah, I'm also singing into my chest here because I'm playing the.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a.
It's not. Yes, it's not a studio recording.
I'm
is it?
just marking the lyrics for the band. Yeah.
Yes, and there's no sort of chorusy backgrounds where you would have had other pre-recorded or people on stage singing. So yeah, the is it up? Is it, are the numbers up? Is not included in this. So that's not a deliberate omission.
No,
it's obviously a practical
it's just
omission.
because this is us three learning the music. Yeah.
And to me, I've said your voice isn't so smooth, but you've said why that is. The very first thing that comes across to me as a lay listener is it's much rockier. So it has that kind of, we're back to throbbing again, but slightly less electronic throbbing, more in a kind of visceral almost.
Well, of course, yeah. But that's because it's got a rock band on it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's you just can't get that feeling by yourself with a synth layering synth lines. You know, you need to have the raucous guitar and you need to have the drums
But it gives teeth, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it's a really powerful sound that we end up with. But again, that's down to Mickey Howard, our guitarist, the guitarist playing on this. You know, he's been in professional rock guitarist for about 40 years. You know, he played in he was in Chelsea, the punk band in the 70s. He was in he was the drummer in Latin Quarter in the 80s. My point is he knows all about how to produce pretty much any vibe that you want. And that's great because I go to him and I say, I want this to sound like this and this, and he knows how to do that. Yeah.
Now, there's not that much more to say about this song because, as you say, it's this version is almost, it feels different because of the orchestration, and the orchestration's been different in every version so far. And I don't think that can ever be underestimated because people often forget about orchestrations. But they play such an important role, and are strangely when I say they're invisible, they are.
Yeah, totally.
Can
I tell you something? It's amazing. In Summer Nights in Space, right? It's my musical that I did earlier this year. There was one song where I didn't have time to orchestrate it because we didn't budget for enough band rehearsal. So I just played it on the piano. It was the one, The Meaning of Space, it was. Yeah. When I spoke to people afterwards, most people hadn't noticed that the song wasn't orchestrated, that it was just played on piano, which I just thought was incredible. It's like, why do I bother, with anything?
They would have noticed if you hadn't done the whole show.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know, some of them might not have done.
Well, maybe not. But people do, you do have to concentrate on lyrics, particularly when it's part of a show, because actually it's part of a drama, isn't it?
For sure, yeah. And it's a character development song, that one. But I just thought that was an interesting kind of confirmation of what you say. It can be really invisible to the point where people assume that a song was orchestrated even though they heard,
The thing to do, if you can ever manage, how you'd ever do this, I don't know, but get someone to come more than one night and not tell them that you're going to do it in different ways every night, and then see if they spotted it. But this orchestration really, funnily enough, because it's more thumping and, as I say, visceral, it's once again it ups the ante on the mechanical aspects of it again.
Yeah.
Which is odd because you'd think that the electronic would be the best way of getting that across, but actually perhaps it isn't. Maybe it's the driving beat of a band. Yeah. But actually is the heart of a machine. Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly it, Thos. And that's the point of having the band on stage. With Quentin Dentin, it's always been this approach of like, we're going to try to DIY a robot apocalypse.
Yes.
And that is exactly what it is. We've got the band on stage in dark glasses and white boiler suits. They're numbers 4, 5 and 6 of the kind of invading robot force. And there's seeing a drummer with a kind of completely blank face in a white jumpsuit and dark glasses going dum 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 dum.
It looks mechanical even the way you're doing it.
Yeah, and that is exactly the effects we were going for. So I'm glad that works. But yeah, no, totally. I think also that electronic sound is like the new normal these days. I've just been listening to, on the way here, I was listening to the new Gorillaz album, Humans. Whole thing, all these songs were, about half of it is sounds off GarageBand on Damon Albarn's iPad. About half of the sounds on the album are like native GarageBand sounds that you can recognise. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, it makes it very contemporary. But I think that we've become so accustomed to hearing music that's entirely made of electronic sounds. There's actually something quite shocking about going back to a sort of
organic?
Going back to an organic, Well, again, going back to Devo, basically, I'm not gonna say I made up this aesthetic, because I didn't. It's the aesthetic of Devo and post-punk, when people were trying to reinvent rock music. And it's not just Devo. Millions of bands, Pill, Public Image, Limited, what else? Some more will come to me.
But it was a wave, wasn't it? Yeah.
There's this whole wave of people trying to rebuild rock music from the ground up, and going back to that now is actually kind of shocking to people my age who've never heard it before, and also people who did hear it before but have spent the last 20 years listening to music that's increasingly just made out of synths.
Yes. It's odd, isn't it? Because funny enough, just contextually in the conversation we've had, we were talking earlier about conversation and speech being cut up and then stuck back together again to sound like a machine.
Yeah.
Whether or not that was actually there, that's how it came across. And now we're talking about music going exactly the same way.
Well, yeah, it's
That may be a discussion for another day.
Yeah. Resist stupidity, people.
Thank you, Quentin. But seriously, that's version 4.
Yeah.
I'd say I don't want to say we've undersold it, but as you said, you were looking to get the right feel and sound to underscore the song, which had already solidified. And I think you've succeeded in that.
I think by this point, yeah.
So, which takes us, I think, onto the last version we're going to hear today, which is, well, tell us more about version 5.
This version 5 is the current most up-to-date version of the song, and we did this in autumn last year. Myself, the band, and Luke Lane, who played Quentin in the last production and is playing Quentin in the new production, we went into a studio and we recorded a kind of Quentin Dentin EP, which for promotional purposes, so that Hannah could take that around to people and that could be part of the Quentin Dentin press pack. And that's what this version is. It's basically the same as the last one, but recorded in a studio, so everyone's getting their parts right, you can hear everything, and the main thing is, finally, I'm not singing. Luke Lane is singing this. Luke Lane is Quentin Dentin, as far as I'm concerned now. He came into the part last year. What was clearly quite a difficult brief, particularly because he was working with a musical director who was still kind of quite, possessive about the part. And he just came in and just owned it. And you should have seen the review. I mean, you have seen the reviews he got, but
I gave one of them.
You gave one of them. That's right. Yeah, got the most incredible reviews. Everyone loved him, and he's really.
Well, he's going to go places, definitely.
He is going to go places. So it's great to... The main difference with this recording is Luke's vocals and just the just being able to hear, the orchestration that we currently have properly. Although there are changes that I've made since this recording, little changes. But,
even more reason to come and see it, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So this is version 5.
This is version 5, starring Luke Lane.
Numbers. Numbers tell me everything I ever need to know. Numbers can be high, and they are the best numbers.
Are the numbers up? Are the numbers down? 'Cause numbers make the world go round. Are the numbers up? Are the numbers down? 'Cause numbers make the world go round.
What's your favorite number? Is it 5? Is it 5? What's your favorite thing about being alive? Is it poetry or piety or aiding your society? If you don't like ambiguity, can't tell ugliness from beauty, take my hand, learn where you stand, 'cause numbers make the world go round. Come on everybody, and buckle your pants, it's time to do the number dance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Numbers! How much have I still to prove? Yeah. Oh, numbers! They dictate my every move. Music is only numbers making sound, 'cause numbers make the world go round.
Are the numbers down? 'Cause numbers make the world go round. Are the numbers up? Are the numbers down? 'Cause numbers make the world go round. Are the numbers up? Are the numbers down? 'Cause numbers make the world go round. Are the numbers up? Are the numbers down? 'Cause numbers make
we are. That's version 5. And you're quite right. Most of the comments I'm going to make about this are not going to be so much about the orchestration. They're not going to be about the lyrics because they've solidified. We know where we are. We've been discussing them. It is, I think, all in the performance. Now, any good piece, and Quentin Dentin is a good piece, can be interpreted in different ways by different actors. Now, Luke Lane is a fantastic actor, and he plays a marvellous Quentin Dentin, but I'm not going to undersell your Quentin Dentin or your singing voice because I've actually loved it all the way through.
Oh, thanks.
But it's been wonderful seeing someone else do it, just to see, funnily enough, because I think it allows you to see deeper into a piece if you've seen it performed by 2 different or more.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Different performers.
Totally, yeah.
And this recording, I think, just brings out 1 or 2 tiny little differences in the performance. And don't forget performance. You know this already, but performance is as much of the song when you're in a musical theatre environment as an audience as the writing, as the music, as the it's
almost more. I'd say. Yeah.
Well, if it's a character piece and this is a character piece, then how that character is interpreted will come through in the lyrics. So we've got the same structure in the sense of lyrics and music previously and arrangements, but here we have Luke singing, and this tiny little thing. So where you were previously going numbers, he's taken a different approach. They're both great and they're both different. He goes numbers, and then there's a tiny little cough as he sort of, I'm going to do this better.
Yeah.
Numbers. Yeah, exactly. He's still smug, but it's a different interpretation. It's I've misfired. Let's get this right because it's important. And that's purely an actor's decision or a performer's decision. And there's lots of little bits and pieces like that in there. When he says numbers tell me everything I ever need to know, he does it with a slightly different tone. He's declaring it. It's a manifesto statement for him in a strange way. When he says numbers can be high and they are the best numbers, I've written that he almost purrs.
It's quite seductive, isn't it?
Yes, he does. He draws you in that sense. He's a different kind of charisma.
Yeah.
And funny enough, in the interview I did with him and had the great pleasure of meeting him, he identified something about himself and you as the 2 people who have been Quentin. That you are, and I hope you'll take this as a compliment, you are the David Bowie and he is the Mick Jagger.
Is that what he said? Right, well,
so
I'm not sure if I agree with either of those.
It's beautifully
it's very, very complimentary to me and to him.
He was talking about also performances, that you drew strength by being still.
I see.
You
Right.
can take it in all the ways you like.
I see,
but you drew strength from being still, and that was the way you commanded a stage.
Yeah.
And he commands a stage by moving and being a bit more wobbly-legged, if you like.
Yeah, well, I think Luke's got a lot more kind of natural charisma than me, and I think that my interpretation of Quentin is kind of more about intimidation, where Luke's is much more about seduction.
But they're both valid interpretations, absolutely.
Sure,
Yeah.
but you know,
bullying has so many faces.
Yeah, got to say I prefer Luke's though. It's more marketable.
I think you're fab. But there we are. So we got that. He purrs. There's so much there, and he's got different pronunciations just on poetry and piety and aiding your society. I just jotted this down because it really struck me that he uses piety very clearly. It's very strong diction. It's almost deliberately enhanced in the way that someone sounds almost unnatural, which of course is his interpretation of this unnatural character. So it's poetry, piety. I like that.
Yeah, that's really good. No, he does do that, doesn't he?
And when he says, "Come on, everybody, and buckle your pants," it's more sinister. You are just freewheeling, and he's there's a hidden threat in that.
Yeah,
and it's not so hidden anymore. In fact.
Yeah, that's true.
And I noticed it more in this recording because it wasn't in version 4 because obviously it didn't have other people to join in. But when you're doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you said earlier actually that
it's meant to be the friends talking to each other,
and it felt like a dialogue this time.
Yeah.
It really did. In fact, I've actually put little dashes in my lyric sheet that I've written down.
Yeah.
Where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gap 17, and you can actually hear it's like they are chatting, which is exactly what you said you wanted it to sound like.
Yeah.
And it's really odd to hear what sounds like the rhythms of a conversation using what are nonsense words or just numbers because they mean nothing to us.
Yeah.
But it has that sense of a conversation. So I think that's still an architectural issue that you have built in.
Yeah.
That comes
It's
across
all about the
nicely.
delivery. They do say maths is a language.
And then when they're having a little conversation, there's a much more strong sense from Luke's interpretation when he goes, "Numbers, how much have I still to prove?" It's just cutting them off, Stop. Just,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, so
yeah.
it's a kind of he's not just singing. He's shut up, me again. Thank you very much. And this is a small point. He goes for years, where you go for woos. But I think that once again, that's just a performance choice. And then we're back to the other numbers up, other numbers down. Because numbers make the world go round. So that chorus comes around 6 times again. It's quiet after 2 this time. and then your na-na-nas come over on the last two. So it's loud, then it's quiet, and then it's oversung, if you like.
Right.
And then we've got his freestyling ending. Now, he does it differently to you.
He does,
You were repeating it, and in this recording, he does it only once, but it's very elongated. It's kind of numbers, and then there's a tiny little sigh. We just kind of, I'm going to relax and do this now. It's kind of numbers.
Yeah.
You know, his conclusion is beautiful. Now, those are very different performance choices. All performance choices I've seen have been valid because I've loved all the versions I've seen. But he does do it differently to you. But I think it's so interesting that, as we've said, you know, the difference in this recording more than anything else is Luke interpreting Quentin in just a slightly different way, and that coming out in the actual recording and the performance.
There's other things in this recording, of course, though. I mean, the main one is you know, just to point to the beautiful work by Mickey Howard and Archie Wolfman on guitar and drums, respectively.
Sounds lovely.
They really. I mean, we can praise Luke till the cows come home, but it's really them who make this recording sing.
They're the bed of excellence on which he lies.
Exactly, yeah, on which he lies supine and beckoning.
Yes, if you like. Peel off my golden boots, why don't you? So that takes us to the end of the version 5, and that's essentially what we're going to be getting in the new version, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But your thoughts?
Well, as I said before, I listen back to these and I hear myself becoming a more competent composer over a couple of years. But, you know, really it's not about me, it's about the song. The thing is that it really isn't about me. I'm just kind of facilitating this song, which has an independent life from me. And the song, you know, the song had to exist for a year before it grew, because numbers make the world go round. Like it's really, I mean, you know, obviously this is nonsense, but I really do kind of, in some weird mystical way, I ascribe the growth to the power of the song itself. Really.
Well, it's a tree which has fruited.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I listen back to them and I'm appalled at the amount of time I've been doing this. Yeah, I hope you come and see the show, you know.
Well, that was my next question. I think this has been an absolutely instructive, fascinating conversation.
I hope so.
I'm honoured that you've been happy to go over your workings, show your workings, as they say on exams, and actually to see your development. Because I've known you now for a year or two, and I've seen you change and improve and become. I hope you won't mind me saying, you know, I love what you did at the beginning, so don't get me wrong. But
thanks,
you do
Thos.
better and better and better, and God knows, I'm looking forward to your 10 years' time.
Well, likewise.
But it's been fascinating, genuinely great to talk about the nuts and bolts, because you know, creative. Every time we talk, on and off the record, the thing that comes out of you is creativity. I just hear that. You're thinking about it, you feel, you think, you connect with what you're working, and the fact that you've gone back and said, oh yes, I remember doing this, or we did it this way, or I wasn't happy with that, and then that wasn't enough. You weren't happy with it, so you changed it. The changes are what make the song better and better.
Yeah.
And if you've done that in one song, I think, you know, the length of this discussion alone tells us that there's been a lot of thought have gone into one song.
Yeah.
I think that is a sign, therefore, that the show itself has hallmarks of quality all over it. So, if I wanted to see it again, and after listening to the show, why would I not? How could I do that?
Well, you could buy a ticket, basically. The show is running for 6 weeks in the West End this summer at the Tristan Bates Theatre from the 20th of June right up until the end of July. It's going to be incredible. We've got a big budget. We've got proper everything. We've got proper set, proper everything. It's a full-on production
with a few pence added to it.
It's going to be incredible, folks. Like, it's going to be the best musical since Donald Duck in Mathemagic Land. So you should come and see it. And, you know, I'll be there playing the bass. Luke Lane will be there. We'll all be there. Come and say hi. And, you know, jam out with us about the numbers. And for God's sake, come and see the Quentin Dentin Show, because it is Rocky Horror for the new millennium.
I'm told the numbers make the world go round, in fact.
So I'm told, yeah.
Henry, as always, a huge joy.
Likewise,
great
Thos.
success. I shall see you.
Yeah.
And I shall see you again and again. But for today, thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you.
And making this one of the most interesting conversations I've had in several years.
Well, thanks, Thos. Yeah, I was going to say likewise, but that would be a bit self-serving somehow. It's been really nice to talk to you again. Goodbye, everyone. Come see the show. Peace.
Number
And there we have it. That was the ever-talented Henry Carpenter, and what I think is one of the most interesting conversations I've had on Musical Talk for a very long time. It's so nice to get to the nuts and bolts of creativity and discuss the actual processing and progressing and improvement and development of a song over several iterations. And as you heard, if you want to see the Quentin Dentin Show, you can. You will, of course, remember that it's been on Musical Talk before. I raved about it when it was in Edinburgh a couple of years ago. I loved the London show in 2016. Well, it's back at the Tristan Bates Theatre, sometimes known as the Actors Centre, which is in Tower Street, London. And it's there between the 20th of June and the 29th of July. And for details, go to tristanbatestheatre.co.uk. And this version of the show is the new 2-act full version, and I simply cannot wait to see it. Well, join me again next week on Musical Talk, and we'll be hearing from the producer and the director of this brand new production of the Quentin Dentin Show. That's Hannah Elsey and Adam Lenson, for what I think is another fascinating discussion about the art of producing and directing. But for the time being, it's time to say bye-bye for now. But I'm not going to use those particular words. I'm going to rely on a more traditional approach, and that's me saying goodbye. So I'm going to do it now. Goodbye. This episode edited and produced by Thos Ribbits. Copyright Musical Talk 2017, except for the songs, where the copyright remains with Henry Carpenter. And my thanks go to Henry, of course, for his generosity in allowing us to explore the history of that song from the Quentin Dentin Show and hearing all the iterations. To find out more about the world of Musical Talk and listen to past episodes, go along to our brand new website, musicaltalkpodcast.weebly.com, or subscribe to us on iTunes, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can, at Musical Talk Thos.
Am I making any sense?
Yes, you
Good,
absolutely
okay,
are.
okay.
Fine enough. I'm enjoying listening to you already, so that's good.
Good.
Yeah. Don't forget, I am my own avatar for my audience.
This is true, this is true.
This is where I move on to my notes, if that's okay.
Okay.
I'll leave you those so we can have them later if you like.
Like they put that in the Coca-Cola ad and stuff, isn't it?
Oh,
From
yeah.
the 70s, you know.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. I'd like to teach the world to sing and all that kind of
That's
slop as
okay.
well.
No, it's like suits well to sing. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
You've wobbled me bobble.
Sorry.
Can we do that sentence again? Just
Yeah.
Hello again. Now, as a very special treat at the end of this episode, just so that you can compare and contrast those 5 versions of the song Numbers that we spent the episode talking about, here they all are again in chronological order, back to back, in a kind of mega medley. So come on everybody and buckle your pants.
Numbers, numbers, numbers tell me everything I ever need to know. Numbers can be high, and they are the best numbers. Are the numbers up, or are the numbers down? Are the numbers up, or are the numbers down? What's your favorite number? Is it 5? What's your favorite thing about being alive? Is it poetry or piety or aiding your society? If you don't like ambiguity, can't tell ugliness from beauty, take my hand and learn exactly where you stand. Overheated air expands, and that's what causes thunder. Health is 16 hours awake and 8 more hours of slumber. When I started singing this, you were 50 seconds younger, and I'll continue singing this for 50 seconds longer. Other numbers up.
Other numbers up.
Other numbers down.
Other numbers down.
Other numbers up.
Other numbers up.
Other numbers down.
Other numbers down. What's your favorite number? Is it 5?
Is it 5?
What's your favorite thing about being alive? Is it poetry or piety or aiding your society? If you don't like ambiguity, can't tell ugliness from beauty, take my hand and learn exactly where you stand. Superheated air expands, and that's what causes thunder. Health is 16 hours a week and 8 per hour of slumber. When I started singing, you were 60 seconds younger, and I'll continue singing for 100 seconds longer. In a groove. Other numbers up, other numbers down, 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 other numbers up, other numbers down. Yeah. Numbers, numbers, numbers tell me everything I ever need to know. Numbers can be high, and they are the best numbers. Other numbers up, other numbers down, 'cause numbers make the world go round. Other numbers up, other numbers down, 'cause numbers make the world go round. What's your favorite number? Is it 5? Is it 5? What's your favorite thing about being alive? Is it poetry or piety or aiding your society? If you don't like ambiguity, can't tell ugliness from beauty, take my hand, learn where you stand, 'cause numbers make the world go round. Come on everybody and buckle your pants, time to do the number dance. One, two, three, four numbers. How much have I still to prove? Woo! Numbers, they dictate my every move. Music is only numbers making sound, 'cause numbers make the numbers.
numbers up, other numbers down, 'cause numbers make the world go round. The numbers up, other numbers down, 'cause numbers make the world go. What's your favorite number in life? What's your favorite thing about being alive? Poetry, for mighty, for any doesn't find it. Everybody has to do it, and the reverence for you. Take my hand up where you stand. Numbers make the world go round. Come on, everybody, put your pants. Time to do the number dance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. How much have I still to prove? Woo! Numbers. They can take my every move. You say only numbers making sound. It's numbers make the world go round. Numbers, 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 yeah!
Numbers, numbers, numbers tell me everything I ever need to know. Numbers can be high, and they are the best numbers.
Other numbers up, other numbers down, 'cause numbers make the world go round. Other numbers up, other numbers down, 'cause numbers make the world go round.
What's your favorite number? Is it 5? Is it 5? What's your favorite thing about being alive? Is it poetry or piety or aiding your society? If you don't like ambiguity, can't tell ugliness from beauty, take my hand, learn where you stand, 'cause numbers make the world go round. Come on everybody and buckle your pants, it's time to do the number dance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers! How much have I still to prove? Yeah. Oh, numbers, they dictate my every move. Music is only numbers making sound.